Today, I'm going to be discussing something that some VA adjudicators are doing that can have a negative impact on your VA claim if you submit an actionable and sufficient DBQ and/or nexus statement. So stick around and I'll explain. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD89 VA Claims Consulting, Leave No Vet Behind, and also I'm a United States Army veteran. Today I'm going to be discussing something that some, not all, but some VA adjudicators are doing when veterans submit sufficient and actionable DBQs and/or nexus statements with their VA claim, all right? Now, normally, when you go out to the VA's website, you get the DBQ, you go to your private doctor, and you get them to complete it, and you submit it to the VA, and they should go ahead and rate the claim. But earlier this year, some things that I've been seeing, some of VA adjudicators are not doing it. They'll schedule a CMP exam. It happened to me on one of my last claims. And I told them, I said, no, you have medical evidence that you can use to adjudicate my claim. I'm not gonna go see your doctor who I don't know, I don't trust, because I've had bad experiences with other CMP examiners. So I had my own doctor to do my CMP exam, meaning the DBQ and/or nexus statement. So use that evidence to rate my case, okay? Now, sometimes I've seen adjudicators go ahead, grant the benefit or grant the service connection or grant the increase. But then some are still saying or doing, okay, Mr. or Miss Veteran, you don't want to go to the exam? I'm going to schedule an ACE exam. Knowing that they don't have to, but they're doing it anyway. Okay? So I'm going to share with you some information that pertains to competent medical evidence and how to identify it in a rating decision if they did an ACE exam, and a possible argument that you can bring if you decide to do a high-level review, okay? So, slide number one. Here in slide number one, this is an example of a rating decision, all right? Now, if you refuse the CMP exam, which is totally up to you, if you want to do it, I'm not saying to go or not go. I'm simply saying if you do go, know what to expect. If you don't go, know what to expect and what your options are, all right? But if you decide not to go and you get your rating decision and it says your VA examiner opined, they did an ACE exam. Now, earlier this year, I did a video on ACE exams, which I will link at the end of this video. Okay, I will link at the end of this video so you can understand what's an ACE exam and when they're not supposed to request it. And that's key because I've seen them request ACE exams for mental conditions, and that is prohibited. But veterans don't catch it. Why? Because they're not educated on this area of the claims process. So when you refuse the exam, if you decide not to go and they do an ACE exam, that's how you know in this narrative, in the narrative of the reasons for decision for one condition or whatever conditions you claim, your examiner opined. It means they did an ACE exam. And you're like, wait a minute, nobody never called me. They don't have to. The doctor doesn't have to. It's up to them, all right? Now, slide number 2. All right. This is competent medical evidence. Now, don't look at the, I'm not going to say don't, but don't let the name of this 38 CFR confuse you, okay? Because I'm only pointing out one area of this 38 CFR. Now, this is not the entire 38 CFR, but I just want to give you the VA's definition of competent medical evidence. DBQ and/or nexus statement is competent medical evidence, right? And it states, means evidence provided by a person who is qualified through education, training, or experience to offer medical diagnosis, statements, or opinions, okay? So guess what? That medical diagnosis, statements, or opinions is in the DBQ and the nexus statement, the opinions and rationales. Now, when I'm doing videos and I'm sharing these regulations and references to you, I'm not sharing maybe the entire reference or regulation. It's just for you to use as a starting point to go out there and start your research. Now, if we're going to hold that VA adjudicator accountable to these references and regulations, we as veterans have to hold ourselves accountable as well. What I mean by that is, majority of the time, when you, well, not majority, but all the time, when you get a DBQ completed and or nexus statement completed by your private physician, they have to have access to the same information as that third-party contractor. It's not what you say, it's what you can prove. And you'll find that in other VA references and regulations, all right? So I've always challenged veterans, go out and get submit a request to get a copy of your VA claims folder. Now, a lot of veterans have their VA claims folder, or a copy of it, and don't even know it. And they'll say, Dwayne, what do you mean? One thing that I did, everything that I sent to the VA, I kept a copy. Everything that the VA sent me, I kept a copy. I even went out and I said my first request was, I didn't even want my whole claims file. I just wanted my medical records from active duty. I had a lot of personnel records from the military. Guess where you can find all that stuff? In your claims folder. And that third-party contractor will have access to your VA medical notes if you get any treatment at the VA. Now, you can go to My Healthy Vet and pull out that same information. You take it to your doctor, along with an interview they do with you or exam. They complete the DBQ and nexus statement. That makes it actionable and sufficient, thus competent medical evidence. Okay, so I hope I didn't confuse you with that information. But one thing I definitely want to point out again, if we want to hold, or if you, the veteran, want to hold that VA adjudicator accountable to those VA regulations and references, you got to hold yourself accountable to them as well, all right? But you got to be educated. What did they do? What can they do? Did they do it? Nope, they didn't. How do you recognize it? I just showed you. If you don't go to a CMP exam and you look in the narrative section of that reason for decisions for that claim condition, it says your VA examiner opined, 9 times out of 10, they sent it for an ACE exam when they didn't have to because they had what? Competent medical evidence, all right? Now, how do you argue this on appeal? Simple. Hey, I refused the exam because I had competent medical evidence. They may start out saying, hey, or in that rating decision, you refused the exam without good cause. Well, good cause is I had actionable and sufficient medical evidence. What was your good cause for even requesting the CMP exam or the ACE exam? And a lot of veterans don't know that they can argue that, all right? You had competent medical evidence. My DBQ from my private provider, at the time the claim was adjudicated, there was no need for a request for a CMP exam and or ACE exam. So I can only assume that the VA adjudicator decided to do additional development to try and deny my claim, all right? But you got to be educated. You got to have full transparency, meaning you got to have a copy of your claims file. You got to get into that 38 CFR, the M21. You got to understand that rating decision, what to look for, how does it work. I know it may seem like a lot, but when you sit down, take the time and do it, meaning the research and review the information, trust me, it'll be easy, okay? I did it on my high alert review. I claimed about 8, 9 different things, and I came out and I won all of them, okay, because I was prepared, all right? So make sure you use these slides as a reference, okay? The 38 CFR, I didn't copy the entire 38 CFR. You have to go out there, look at it, look at the remainder of it, because there's tons of evidence in the M21 and 38 CFR as it pertains to competent medical evidence, weighing the evidence, how they should describe it in the narrative section, okay? But it's not too much where it's that overwhelming, all right? So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.